Hi there, welcome back, or welcome for the very first time. You're safe now. This is your time to rest. Let go of your day. Let your breath slow down and your thoughts float gently away. Tonight I'll be reading you a fairy tale, an old story wrapped in moonlight and carried on a quiet breeze just for you. So snuggle in, get cozy, and let the soft rhythm of the story guide you into dreams. Let's begin. Story 24. The Sword of Avalon. Many of the Welsh tales are about fighting and wars, and no country as small as Wales has so many castles. Yet these are nearly all in ruins and children play in them. This is because men got tired of battles and sieges. Everybody knows that after King Arthur's knights had punched and speared and whacked and chopped at each other with axe and sword long enough, had slain dragons and tamed monsters, and rescued princesses from cruel uncles and good men from dark dungeons, even the plain people, such as farmers and mechanics, had enough and wanted no more. Besides this, they wished to be treated more like human beings and not have to work so hard, and also to keep their money when they earned it. Even King Arthur himself, towards the end of this era, saw that fashions were changing and that he must change with them. Hardware was too high in price and was no longer needed for clothing. He was wise enough to see that battle axes, maces, swords, lances, and armor had better be put to some better use when iron was getting scarce and wool and linen were cheaper. Even the stupid Normans learned that decency and kindness cost less and accomplished more in making the Welshry loyal subjects of the king. So after many battles, King Arthur went out to have a little war of his own, and to enjoy in the fight, in which he would be mortally wounded. He showed his greatness even in the hour of death. In truth, it is given to some men, like Samson, to be even mightier when their life ends than when following a strenuous life. So it was with this great and good man of Cymru. His love for his people never ceased for one moment, and in his dying hour he left a bequest that all his people have understood and acted upon. Thus it has come to pass that the Welsh have been really unconquerable by Saxon or Norman, or even in the 20th century day by the Teutons. Though living in a small country, they are among the greatest in the world, not in force or in material things, but in soul. When Belgium was invaded, they not only stood up in battle against the invader, but they welcomed to their homes tens of thousands of fugitives and fed and sheltered them. Brave as lions, their path of progress has been faithfulness to duty, industry, and patience. And along the paths of poetry, music, and brotherhood, their motto for ages has been truth against the world. Now the manner of King Arthur's taking off and his immortal legacy was on this fashion. After doing a great many wonderful things in many countries, King Arthur came back to punish the wicked man Mordred. In the battle that ensued, he received wounds that made him feel that his life was very soon to end. So he ordered his loyal vassal to take his sword to the island of Avalon. There he must cast the weapon into the deep water. But the sword was part of the soul of Arthur. It would not sink out of sight until it had given a message from their king to the Welsh for all time. After it had been thrown into the water, it disappeared, but rose again. First the shining blade, then the hilt, and then a hand was seen to rise out of the flood. Thrice the hand waved the sword round and around. This was the prophecy of the deathless from the dead. King Arthur's body might be hid in a cave or moulder in the ground, but his soul was to live and cheer his people, his beloved Cumbric nation, with their undying language, were to rise in power again. And the resurrection has been glorious, not by the might of the soldier, or by arms of war, though the Welsh never flinch from duty or before the foe, but by the power of poet, singer, and the narrator of stories that touch the imagination and fire the soul to noble deeds, have those results come. Arthur's good blade, thus waved above the waters, became a veritable sword of the spirit. Men of genius arose, flushed with the colour of the legends. Prophets, preachers, monks, and missionaries carried these all over Europe and made them the vehicles of doctrine. In their new forms, they fired the imagination and illuminated, as with 10,000 lamps, many lands and nations, until they held every people in spell. In miracle and morality play, they reappeared in beauty. They attuned the harp and instrument of the musician and the troubadour, and these sang the gospel in all lands, north and south, while telling the stories of Adam and Abraham, of Bethlehem and of the cross, the Holy Grail, and Arthur and his knights. All the precious lore of the Celtic race became transfigured to illustrate and enforce truth. The symbolical bowl, the Celtic cauldron of abundance, became the cup of the Eucharist, and the Grail and the symbol of blessings eternal. By the artist, in the stained glass and in windows of the great churches, which were built no longer of wood, but of stone, that blossomed under the chisel, the old legends were, by the new currents of truth, given a mystic glow, as wonderful as the rise of Gothic architecture and the upbuildings of cathedrals, as glorious as the light and art that beautify the great temples of worship, was this rebirth of the Arthurian legends. For now, again, the old virtues of the knightly days, loyalty, obedience, redress of wrongs, reverence of womanhood, and the application of Christian ethics to the old rules of decency, lifted the life of the common people to a nobler plane and ushered in the modern days. Then, after 700 years of host singers, Tennyson, leading them all, attuned the old Celtic harp. They reset for us the Cumbric melody and colourful incidents in the light that was never on sea or land. Therefore, the old days live again in greater glory. Lady Guest put the Mabinogion into English, and Hannon and Arnold and Holliston and Hayes in prose competed in praise of the heritage from the old time. Popular education was diffused. The Welsh language rose again from the dead. Cardiff holds in pure white marble the most thrilling interpretation of Welsh history in the 12 white marble statues of the great men of Wales. The Welsh people, by a bloodless victory, have won the respect of all mankind. They set a beacon for the oppressed nations, and in the World War of 1914 to 1918, they helped to save freedom and civilization. They were in the van. Long may the soul of Arthur wave. The end. The story has ended, but your dreams are just beginning. Let them carry you gently through stars and silence and soft wonder. Thank you for letting me read to you. I'll be here again whenever you need a quiet voice and a gentle tale. Sleep well, sleep deep, and good night, dear dreamer. Breuddwydion melys, dear dreamer, sweet dreams.